Welcome, everyone, and thank you for tuning in to Big Blend Radio's Travel Avoyelles podcast that shines the spotlight on what to experience in Avoyelles Parish, Louisiana, known as the Centre de la Louisiane. In light of the flooding due to Tropical Storm Arthur, today's episode will feature a conversation we had with Mr. William Tebow. It was an episode we recorded on site this past April at the David Hayes Memorial United Methodist Church in Bunkie, Louisiana. Before we play the interview, we want to share an email we received from our friend Wilbert Carmouche, who is the Executive Director of Avoyelles Commission of Tourism. Usually, Wilbert and Mary Guillory are on the show. He says, "Good afternoon, Lisa and Nancy. Please accept my apologies for not being able to join you and our followers live today. As many of you may have seen in the news, Avoyelles Parish has been dealing with an unprecedented weather event. In just 24 hours, some areas received more than 30 inches of rainfall, creating challenges across many of the communities that you and Nancy visited during your time here. As the rain continues to fall sporadically, I wanted to take a moment to recognize what I believe is our greatest asset, the people of Avoyelles Parish, and their remarkable resilience. Within hours of the flooding, neighbors were helping neighbors. Countless volunteers and organizations sprang into action, rescuing families, opening shelters, preparing meals, and doing whatever was needed to care for one another. There are simply too many individuals and groups to name, but their compassion and generosity have been inspiring. When you were here, we spoke with Mr. William Tebow of the Methodist Church in Bunkie. We talked about resilience and the challenges his community faced after their own difficult circumstances. Today, that same spirit of perseverance and faith is on full display throughout Avoyelles Parish. While these days have been difficult, they have also reminded us of the strength, character, and heart of our people. We are grateful for the outpouring of support, and if you feel so inclined, we would sincerely appreciate your prayers for our communities, our first responders, our volunteers, and all those affected by this historic flooding. Thank you for keeping Avoyelles in your thoughts." And now here's our conversation with Mr. Tebow in Bunkie, Louisiana. Everyone, we are at the
David Hayes Memorial Methodist Church.
How did it get its name?
Well, this is going to be kind of a jump around history lesson, but what happened was they took the second building down and created a new sanctuary from scratch. And it was brick and mortar. And the gentleman and his wife's name was Colonel David and Montez Hayes, Haas. And when their son was killed in an airplane accident, they gave the funds for the erection of this building, this room, which is our sanctuary, and named it after him. And they just named the whole campus and the whole church after him. So it's David Hayes Memorial Methodist Church. So that's how it's got its name.
All right, and everyone, this is Mr. Bill Tebow, and this church actually is rebuilt because of a fire. Am I getting that right?
Well, fast forward a little bit further on down the road, that church was built, that building was built in existed beautifully for quite a while, but we had a church fire, and it started in one of the back rooms on the second floor, and by the time that the fire department got here, the whole place was just burned almost to the ground. So we had quite the task of deciding what to do. Were we going to raise the church, completely take the remnants of it up and start over, or try to salvage what we have? And we did the latter. This happened in 2016. So this is the 10th year of that church fire anniversary. It doesn't seem like that, man, but it has been. So anyway, we had a building committee and we decided, argued back and forth, but we came up with the idea to keep the structural confines of the church. The ceiling was completely destroyed. Everything in here was completely destroyed. All that was left was the iron trusses in the roof and the walls. brick and mortar walls. And so we took that opportunity to update the look of the church because it was kind of Gothic and dark to some degree inside the sanctuary. And they lightened it up with colors and such and got away from the red carpet floor and put nice tile down. And what you see is a renovation, if you will, or I guess you would have to say that footprint from that sanctuary.
It's light, very bright. And then at the back here at the top is that stained glass, which is just beautiful.
That window was destroyed in the fire, the window that was there. And we decided rather than to do other things, we decided to redo that window. So it was originally given by Mr. Hayes, and she lived in New Orleans, but she grew up in Bunkie. But at any rate, she gave it in honor of her her parents, and that would be W. Hayes Sr. and his wife, and she gave that window in their honor. But that was back in 1951 and 2, when the church burned, it was destroyed. So we tried to get where we could afford to redo that window, and we found a stained glass place in I think Tennessee, and they reconstructed it exactly like it was.
It's beautiful. It looks Celtic at the top. I don't know, but it just looks like it to me. Beautiful.
But it's Gothic in style, if you will, with arch looking top. And I can show you some pictures just so you can say you've seen them of the old church before it burned. And that's the kind of the theme of the architecture style was a Gothic look, I guess.
It's interesting because we were just at the First Baptist Church, talking about challenges that communities go through, churches go through, and that's obviously a fire can be devastating because it's like a home for people, right? So that's a challenge. So how did the church community get through that in a positive way, and what did you do when there was no church to go to?
Very good question. Both of those questions are good. The support from the community, of course, this is a very small town and most people know one another, but they would see church members, non-members would see church members on the street or in the store or what have you, and say, you're going to rebuild the church, And that was a theme that we heard so much. I mean, it was almost surprising to have that much interest in this building. And I didn't realize how much, you never know what folks are thinking, driving past the church and such. And it was an inspiration to make our decision, I think, to some degree. And to answer your question about where the congregation went, there's another little church out in the country in the little community of Evergreen, Louisiana. I don't know if you've passed that in your travels, but it's a Methodist church, and it was under this charge. It was part of this church, not financially, but from the pastor. Since the pastor would go there and have the service. So they were gracious enough to open their doors to take our congregation. And we were in there. I guess we were about a month, and the fire did not destroy our education building, which is in the back of this. So we renovated an area, remodeled, if you will. And we had church in that education building for probably 14 months.
Wow.
And, it was kind of tight, but it was good. We built a little altar and everything. So it worked fine. I think it brought us together considerably.
I think challenges do. It makes a community tighter. The other thing with that, when you're saying that people go in the grocery store, well, what about the church? What about the church? So it's interesting, driving around with Wilbert and Mary as our guides here from Avoyelles Tourism, going around. It seems, there's a thing about when you meet someone, they say, oh, what do you do? And that's a very American thing to say, what do you do? Other countries, it's like, oh, who are you? What do you, it's like, who are you as an individual, not just your job or career, right? But it seems here that maybe you identify people also by the church they go to. You know what I mean? It's almost like your surname or something. Yeah. Would you say that? Because when you're saying that, it's like people would know, oh, so-and-so goes to this church. So-and-so is at that church. It's almost like the different family.
Sure. It's a question that's asked in conversation when you're meeting a person, at least in these parts. I would say. I mean, maybe not every conversation, but
it's not done in every community. I'll tell you that. Yeah.
It's not uncommon to have that question posed.
Huh. Wow.
But, and you have to understand, though, also, this parish, and you know this because it's not a county, it's a parish. And I'm not talking about the church parish. I'm talking about the geographic area.
Yeah, okay.
It's a parish. It's very Catholic. Very, 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 very Catholic. So each town, almost each town, each little community, be it Marksville, Bunkie, or Cottonport, or the other, however many 10 churches in this parish, 10 towns in this parish, they have a Catholic church. Now, whether they have a Baptist, Methodist, or Episcopal, or whatever, is a kind of a side question. It's not a Protestant parish. It's a Catholic.
Okay.
Of course, as you know, about Baptist, Episcopalian, Methodist, or Protestant religions. So, I think that Catholic vein probably promotes that question. Probably, if I had to guess.
And a lot of times, I know, like we're from Fifth Ward, so in a non-incorporated area, and we have a Catholic church and we have a Baptist church, but it's like we don't look at that as, I'll go to my church, someone else, but we're community.
Sure.
That's first and foremost is community. When we have a fundraiser like we just did a month or so ago, we sold tickets with the Baptist people, bought tickets, and we delivered their lunches, made sure that their lunches were ready to go at the end of their service. We delivered 50-something lunches to them. Our ladies of the Altar Society team up with us, and they do their fundraiser with a bake sale. The ladies of the Baptist Church brought cakes to the Catholic bake sale so they could, make money for their fundraiser. 2 weeks later, ladies of the Baptist Church had their fundraiser, which is also a bake sale. Cakes and bake sales go well in our exactly.
Apparently.
Of course, you're always going to eat, as we said with Pastor Boone, it's, food for the body, but food for the soul as well. So, and then the ladies from the Catholic Church brought a whole bunch of cakes to the Baptist Church. We work as a community. On Saturday or Sunday, you just go to whatever church you want to, but we work more as a community. And I think, as Mr. Bill alluded to, I think that is what happens with basically all of the communities in Avoyelles.
No, I'd say that.
And when you were rebuilding, and when the actual fire happened, did the non-Methodist patronage, did the community step up to help you in that in other ways? And obviously
I would
not
say,
building part,
I would
but
say more in
spirit,
general support, the spoken word. There'd be in certain situations, they would have prayer, and monetary. But whoa, let me back up. Monetarily, yeah, there was a lot of gifts given to this church from local people and local churches. It was uncommon. We were told what it would cost to fix this, and we had nice insurance. We didn't have enough, and we had to have a capital fundraiser.
Yeah, there's never enough.
And that went very well. Very well. And so from individuals to businesses to other churches, they pitched in and we had enough to do it. The church has no debt.
Oh, that's wonderful. So how does it affect the youth when they go through something like this? Does this strengthen them too, to be able to overcome hurdles in life? Because I think, you're in Louisiana, there's weather always, right? So things like that, does that help them move forward and understand how to handle challenges?
If they're going through it, they can't help but help. It's kind of human nature. To have a burden, and if you get through it with your faith and your trust in God, you're going to get stronger.
Yeah. Wow. So with this whole church, or I should say faith tour, right? What would you like to see happen when people come here?
Become involved in a church. This one would be great, but a church, either be in this town or Marksville or Fifth Ward or Alexandria or wherever. Just a commitment to the Lord and just an encouragement from being in the house of the Lord, I think is powerful.
It's like inviting people into your house and sharing, right?
Absolutely. And as I've said before, it's to find It's to find that niche of that church. What is unique?
Mm-hmm.
What is the story behind the story of the church? And it's not that we're trying to put, I'm going to say, religion out there. We just want you to experience. We want, not this faith-based tour. We want the people to experience what it's like and what we treasure. And I mean, as I said, the architecture, the music that we have at these different churches, that's a whole other, draw for people, because, we don't expect everybody to come in and sit and listen to a homily on these tours. That's not what we're trying to do. We're just trying to let you know why you should walk into this church and look at that stained glass window. What's that uniqueness? What's the story behind that? Just like in this church, the story of the resurrection from ashes to what it is today. Look at what can be done with community support. And, you just never give up. That's always something. There's always, even though we're hearing thunder right now, I'm still seeing a blur of, sunlight through these windows.
Exactly. Well, also when we were in Cottonport yesterday and the Lady of the Oaks, isn't that part of resilience?
Absolutely, because that story is because that was the historic oaks of Cottonport on the bayou, and a portion of the tree fell. I mean, a very substantial portion of the tree fell, through the aging process and possibly a storm. And it was like, okay, it was like disfigured. The tree was, what the community did, they came and they built a platform into that portion that had fallen. And there is a beautiful statue of the Blessed Mother that has been put up there about, I would say, 8 feet tall. You saw that yesterday, and how impressive that is.
She makes you slow down on that curve, I'll tell you that.
Absolutely. So,
that's a good thing.
And that is, that's a uniqueness. You don't see that everywhere. And that's part of what, it's just a roadside stop there. I mean, it's a place to take a picture. That's what this faith-based tour is about.
Bill, would you say the church's story here is one of resilience?
By all means.
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, this could have been left for dead.
Yeah.
This was a horrendous fire.
Yeah, fire. It's shaky. It shakes you up when you go through fires.
I was coming back from where my wife is from, which is Bordelonville. I don't know if you probably went over that. Probably hadn't gotten over that far. It's still in the parish. Okay. Well, they have a fabulous old Catholic church there. Anyway, not to digress too much here, but we were by myself and her mom still at their house. And I came across the railroad track and I saw a big old glow.
Wow.
And I said, what in the world is that? And as I got closer, I'm going, Lord, you can't be serious here. And man, you talk about gut wrenching when you see the church that you grew up in, just totally engulfed in flames. This was a mess.
That's sad.
And lots of folks just said, well, you can't reveal that. Well, we did, but
good.
We had a nice campaign of askings, and it happened,
Awesome. Now look at it. It's here in the stained glass and just the windows too. It's beautiful.
I will tell you, the old church, and we just couldn't swing it. Each of the windows had, not a version, but a look, as you will find in a lot of Catholic churches, a Station of the Cross. But it was more for stories. It wasn't like the Catholic things that Jesus did at a certain period of time. It was just Bible stories in these 8 windows, and they all looked like that one up there.
Wow.
Oh yeah. It had broke the bank.
Yeah.
So we were disappointed that couldn't happen, but we got that one done.
Yeah.
And we got the one over your shoulder done.
Yeah,
that I did not turn on, but that's a very nice, they call it a rose window.
Okay.
And it has spiritual meaning, but at any rate, we didn't get to do that. But this sanctuary, aside from being a little kind of dark looking in its day, the original one was quite a sight to see.
Thank you so much for sharing the story.
Indeed. Good luck to y'all.
Thank you. You too. Thank you for joining us here on today's Travel Avoyelles podcast. It truly is a story of a community united and one that is resilient. Let us all keep Avoyelles Parish in our hearts and assist where we can as we start to find out where we can donate to and how we can volunteer. And when it's time to visit them again, please be sure to visit travelavoyelles.com to plan your adventure. The link is in the episode notes.